The F1 circus is back and we have arrived in Vegas, but for one team, it might be the final time that they arrive in Vegas, as rumours are suggesting that Jaguar might be looking to leave F1. Fernando Alonso, the team principal of Jaguar, has refused to comment on their F1 future. While people in the paddock are thinking that Jaguar are on the verge of leaving Formula 1, there is no sources right now that know full well if they firstly are going to leave the sport, but also if they do, have they agreed a deal for somebody else to come in and take over. At the moment, nothing has been said and no one knows anything, and it could well be very similar to how BMW were rumoured to be leaving Formula 1 and ended up staying. This could be the same scenario where Jaguar are rumoured to go, but they end up staying. So we'll just have to keep an eye out in the final few races of the season if any form of developments come from this, and if we will see the green team in the sport next year. Taking a look at the race news heading into the weekend, Porsche were the team that were fastest in practice, and this is critical for Porsche as this weekend they can wrap up the Constructors' Championship, and for Reese, he can also take a step forwards into closing the gap between himself and his cousin Tom in the Drivers' Championship. So practice so far has been massively impressive. As for Ferrari, they're also up there and could even threaten Porsche in the Grand Prix itself, but they're still having some setup issues. So far, Sam seems to be able to understand the car a little bit better and is able to extract a bit more performance out of it, but with Lando Norris, he's struggling a lot more. When he can get the car on point, it's there for him and he's up there with the other three drivers, but it's taking a lot longer and he seems to be finding some inconsistencies. As for Renault, they seem to be consistently fast around fast tracks. With Las Vegas being a high-speed circuit, they're up there and their pace is very, very impressive. As for McLaren, theirs is not so impressive. They're very much struggling to get the right balance around this track this weekend, and they think it's going to be a tough one. As for Mercedes, this is also set to be a tough weekend for them, as high-speed circuits have not been their best form of luck throughout the course of the past few seasons, but they're very quick in Sector 2, where there is a lot more corners that need to be taken. But let's go and see, with qualifying and the race, who's got the best package to win out in Vegas. Yo, what's going on guys, it is Foxydude here, and welcome back to a brand new video and another episode of the F1 journey for you guys today here on the channel. Today, it is the Las Vegas Grand Prix. If you guys end up enjoying today's video, feel free to drop it a like and subscribe to the channel if you're new around here as well. And as you can tell, there is no game audio in the background. I don't know why, to be honest, is the simple answer. The past couple of weeks, honestly, or months even, of trying to make this series, it's just becoming impossible, from game files not working to recordings going wrong, and I don't know anymore. I'm kind of just at the point where it's just frustrating trying to make these videos because something just keeps going wrong. But at the end of the day, at least I've got the full gameplay footage, so I guess this week it's just going to be no sound apart from my own voice. So sorry about that. I'm trying, but ultimately, I'm just so busy that once I've done a recording once, if it's not going to be alright, then I probably won't be able to do it for another couple of weeks. So, you know, I kind of just have to roll with what I've got. But anyway then, into qualifying. So we set our first flying lap. Now, this was a really challenging experience, as you can see by the fact that I went wide through that corner. And I say challenging in the fact of, I haven't played this game for a very, very long time, and I've always been rubbish around Vegas, specifically because I've hardly driven around here since it released 2 games ago now, or this game and the previous game. So it was really difficult to find the right balance, and ultimately just understand how these cars drive, because like I said, I haven't played on my F1 Journey modifications for at least 6 to 8 weeks, maybe, probably exaggerating there, but a very long time. So I was in a little bit of struggle zone here. So as we make our way through in towards the end of the first part of the lap here, we actually make some contact there with the wall and actually damage our front wing. So now we're down on our delta and we're currently P19. So we're way off it at this point, and we just keep making a mess of things here, missing that apex and braking point, and we're still down, but crucially, not by a whole amount, only a couple of hundredths. So despite the fact that we're down by the fact that we're not P20 and that we are P19 so far, it means that any time that we can find is going to make a huge difference. And as you can see, going down the back straight now here, we're going to lose a little bit of time on the delta because I'm changing how I'm going to deploy the battery on this straight here as we make our way now down, opening up the DRS here, and now we're going to be using our deployment. So our top end speed is going to be greater, and that is going to allow us to pull some of the tents back, but not enough of the tents back, especially when we forget where to brake around this track, and that is my qualifying completely ruined. And with somebody else now, whoever was behind me, improving, it means that for the Vegas Grand Prix, we're going to be starting right at the very back of the grid, P20, and we have got a mountain to climb. It's time to get racing in Las Vegas, but before the lights go out, let's go and have a look and see where everybody is starting on the grid. Reese goes ahead and takes pole position for Porsche in Vegas with a 128.547. And it's crucial that we've got all those decimal points in place because that 7 was just 1/1000th of a second faster than what Max Verstappen could achieve in Audi. It was just such a close qualifying that it came all the way down to the final 1000th. Charles Leclerc is third on the grid for Porsche, 5/100ths of a second off of his teammate, with Sam next up in fourth for Ferrari, 0.2 of a second shy of pole. An excellent qualifying from Daniel Ricciardo. He starts fifth, splitting the two Ferraris. Norris is sixth. Carlos Sainz is 7th for Audi ahead of Liam Lawson, with a brilliant qualifying for Jaguar ahead of Lewis Hamilton, who starts 9th for Mercedes. Sebastian Vettel is 10th for the best placed Red Bull on the grid, with Alex Albon 11th for Jaguar. Oscar Piastri is P12 for Aston Martin ahead of Kimi Antonelli, who's only 13th for Mercedes-Benz. Pierre Gasly couldn't replicate his teammate Daniel Ricciardo's qualifying performance, who starts 5th. Gasly is down in 14th, but only by 0.2 of a second is the margin between Gasly and Ricciardo, and that shows how close this grid is in qualifying. George Russell is the best placed McLaren driver, and it's only good enough for P15 on the grid, with Sergio Perez 16th for Red Bull. Bottas is 17th ahead of the two BMWs of Behrman and Van Dorn, while Tom lines up last. Okay then, so we're on the grid here for the Vegas Grand Prix, and we've got a mountain to climb. We're starting last, and it's a one-stop strategy. It's the medium compound tyres swapping to the hards for the end of the race. But as you can see, we've got plenty of laps, plenty of racing, plenty of overtaking spots. The 5 lights are on, and the 5 lights are off, so the race is on, and we can get going here. It's a decent start from us, getting alongside the BMW straight away, and in towards the first corner. We can lunge it right at the inside of us, a couple of cars. Bit of contact there as some of the BMW drivers there trying to get involved in the action, but we've gone from 20th up to 14th now as we make our way through turn 2, and now there's a long drag here as my teammate Piastri is under pressure from one of the Red Bulls. He looks like he's got a bit more straight line speed than what Oscar has to produce, but we're going to try and send it on Oscar into turn 3. Really bold there, and maybe if that was somebody else, I probably would have gone for it, but on that occasion, I thought it was better just to allow Oscar to stay in front for the time being. We'll attack him later in the Grand Prix. Now, making our way past the sphere, we're going to have another look at Oscar Piastri, just letting him know that I'm right behind him, and I'm looking to try and get up the grid as quick as humanly possible. But to the end of the first lap then, Reese leads this Grand Prix. Ignore the names are at the top, because they are always going to be wrong, never going to be right. We're going to send it, though, up the inside into turn 1 on Oscar Piastri, and that is 13th place in the bag, and 7 positions gained now right off the start. So a good time to make some overtakes here, and now we're only 3 places off the points paying positions, and we need that because with Reese leading this Grand Prix and us scoring nothing at the moment, that's going to make a massive change to the championship. But let's go and have a look at the race start then. So as the lights go out, you can see that it's actually a pretty even getaway from everybody on the grid, to be honest. Now, in towards the first corner, I opt for the inside line. You can see there that as I just make my way through, it just seems like there that Behrman, I think it is, just tries to turn in, and obviously I'm there, so it doesn't quite end well, and there's a little bit of contact. This is on board with Charles Leclerc, so he actually gets a very nice start compared to Verstappen on the front row. So Leclerc now is on the outside in towards turn 1. Verstappen tries to fend him off and actually does a good job of it. But now as we go in towards turn 2, Leclerc has the upper hand here going through turn 2 and actually takes the position away from Verstappen. Max then is going to try and come back at him. This is on board with Alex Albon as I tried to flick through the cameras to figure out which Jaguar it was, but it was Albon. So in towards the first corner we go with Alex here. He's also trying to do the same thing, attacking one of the Red Bulls there of Sebastian Vettel. Vettel, though, is a little bit further in front, so while he's got the outside line for turn 2, by the fact that he's a little bit ahead, it does give him the benefit of the doubt there. Lap 2 of the Grand Prix, and we're now on the back here of that Red Bull of Vettel, and we're going to, not Vettel, sorry, Perez there, but we're going to go right up the inside of Sergio Perez into the sphere section, also trying to attack the Jaguar there of Albon, and now, as we get the power down, a little bit of contact with Albon, but crucially, he stays in front, so for his race, that's all good, but we're now stalking the back of the Jaguar here, going through in towards this difficult left-hander, which I decided to break a little bit earlier at. Albon there locks up, going in towards the long back straight, or the Las Vegas Strip now, should we say. But we've got a great run here, using the battery, closing up to the back of Alex Albon. Now, with the DRS that's going to get enabled very shortly here on this lap, we can go on the attack now with the DRS here against Alex Albon. And as you can see, with the DRS open, we've also got one of the Red Bulls of Perez there trying to get alongside. So it's 3 wide at the end of the strip, but down in towards this tricky chicane now. We get the job done on Alex Albon, and we're up into 11th place and one more place to go until we see ourselves in the points, with Reese pumping in some fastest laps here. But at the front of the field here, this is Max Verstappen, who's currently now down in 4th place because Charles Leclerc has passed him to go up into 3rd. Sam, meanwhile, is having a great race so far. He's pressing onwards. He's overtaken Verstappen. He's also passed Charles Leclerc. He's now trying to make a run for Reese. So you can see he's got a nice lead now out front. Remember, in the last race here in Vegas, it was Porsche that dominated proceedings, and it was an epic battle between Reese and Carlos Sainz for the race win when Sainz was driving for Porsche. But as you can see now, Verstappen here is struggling a little bit now. He's been passed by Charles Leclerc. He's now trying to be pressurized by Daniel Ricciardo. We're sending it up the inside of Vettel in towards turn 1. Ricciardo goes around the outside of Verstappen on the same lap here. So it's all happening up and down the grid now in this Grand Prix. But back on board with ourselves here. We're up into 10th place now with a super lunge there on Sebastian Vettel going in towards the first corner. Vettel, though, has got more straight line speed in the Red Bull, and he's trying to come at us, but down in towards turn 3 we go, and we defend the position quite nicely. Next is the Mercedes of Lewis Hamilton, and we're going to see if we can size him up going into the sphere section. We'll go for it late, breaking down into the sphere, and then we just about hold it there on Hamilton. Give him the respect in the room. Lewis Hamilton has been dispatched off. 9th place is now ours. And on to lap 4 further on into the lap here. We're back on board with the Ferrari of Lando Norris, who's under pressure from Daniel Ricciardo. Verstappen's repassed Daniel Ricciardo. There's so much fighting going on in towards the chicane. It's all happening here. Ricciardo, Sainz, and also Lawson have overtaken Lando Norris in that straight. So disaster for Lando Norris. As for us, we're trying to see if we can find a way past Liam Lawson. It'd be quite nice if we could, as we're again trying to do what we did to Albon at the start of the Grand Prix, unsettle him just a little bit. That's now going to give us a good run here, going down in towards the Las Vegas Strip. So now, as we make our way down in towards this left-hander, again, just being sensible and braking early, and hopefully, there we go, a nice exit from there. And now, I understand here that Lawson's going to get the DRS on Lando Norris, so I need to make sure I'm as close to Lawson as possible to make this work. So now, the DRS is going to be open for both of us down this straight. You can see there that Ricciardo is trying to make a lunge on Verstappen. Verstappen's going to have the inside line, though, to cover that one off. But for us, crucially, we get the inside line there on Liam Lawson, smashing the bollard. Probably went a little bit crazy with track limits, I can't lie. But at the end of the day, positions gained, move on. So, now that we've got that position done, it's time to focus on the Ferrari of Lando Norris. And as you can see, speaking of Lando Norris, he's in a fight here with both the Audis of Sainz and Verstappen, as there is Sam getting very close there to Leclerc in the foreground there. So Sam is definitely putting on the pressure after Leclerc has caught and passed him recently. But for Lando Norris, he's trying to fight hard with Verstappen, and that is almost caught us out there in the background. We were trying to make a move, but that nearly actually cost us in the end now. So we make our way down the straight here, and as you can see, in towards turn 1, we've got Lawson trying to come at us here. Norris is trying to go at Verstappen. We're going to go around the outside here of Carlos Sainz into turn 1. Move is done, but we've got the inside now into turn 2 on Lando Norris. Can we go for a double double overtake on this straight. You bet we can. What a move that is, as we now have the DRS here towards turn 3 to attack Verstappen. Can we go 3 places gained in 3 corners? Yes, we can. That is brilliant driving from us to go around the outside of turn 1 on Carlos Sainz, the inside of turn 2 on Lando Norris, and then carry the momentum and speed with the DRS to go down the inside of Verstappen into turn 3. And now we're all the way up into 5th place here on lap 7 of the Grand Prix. Whoops-a-daisy. Maybe not quite 5th place, because Verstappen now, with that error going into the strip, is going to make that P6 for us. But there's a secondary phase to my error, which actually has turned it into complete geniusness. So, I actually lost the position, but Verstappen was then in front in the DRS detection zone. So guess who's got DRS? Me! And as I was getting very close there, because Norris is trying to get involved in on the act, we can go back into the position that we were just in of P5. Norris and Verstappen can fight away, and we can now blast off into the distance as Daniel Ricciardo is having a sensational Grand Prix for Renault. He's in P4 at the moment, and yeah, I can't quite catch him, but lap 8 of the Grand Prix now. Verstappen is back ahead of Lando Norris. Seems like Sainz and Norris are having a little bit of a scrap here. That means that Verstappen's got clear air to come at us, and that's exactly what he's going to do. So even before the detection point, Verstappen's going to pass us here. DRS is going to be enabled, and you'll soon see big old Max Verstappen there making the move stick. We're just going to go into his slipstream. Nothing we can do about it. Same with Sainz here. He's lost out to Lando Norris. He's going to lose out to Lawson as well. And as they go in towards the chicane here, Norris is just going to hold off Liam Lawson. As for us, we're then going to stay behind Max Verstappen for a little bit longer. So, yeah, we're down into P6 in this Grand Prix. Back at the front now, you can see that the Sam here is going to go for a move into turn 3 on Charles Leclerc, my apologies. Leclerc, though, breaks nice and late, actually, around the outside of Sam. And going in towards the sphere, it's actually going to go in the favour of Charles Leclerc. So great racing between them, but Sam is going to have the DRS here. He's a little bit further back than he probably would have wanted, but he's got great momentum, great speed, and down the inside at the end of the strip here, can Sam make the move on Charles Leclerc? No. Great defending from Charles Leclerc. He will not let Sam get in front of him, and that is critical team play from Charles Leclerc. Of course, remember that Charles Leclerc, I don't believe, if my maths is correct, is in contention for the Drivers' Championship. So he's doing a great job of protecting that second place from Reese. As for us, though, we're going around the outside of turn 1 on Max Verstappen. A beautiful move there on the Dutchman, but we've now got to defend against the Dutchman's DRS attack that he will get down towards turn 3. So we're going to go towards the inside line, but Verstappen has actually got such great speed and momentum, there's nothing I can do about it, but I'll brake late around the outside and stay in front of Max. And there is Daniel Ricciardo, and then Leclerc and Sam are just up ahead, scrapping away. Reese still leads. We're not too far off, but at the moment, despite the fact that Verstappen is going to pass us, because let's face it, he's already alongside me before the DRS is even active at this point. But were we behind Verstappen then as he overtook me with DRS? He did. So Verstappen there used everything he had to overtake me before the DRS detection point on the straight. And that meant that come activation point, I've got it back again. So thanks for that, Max. That's great racecraft from you. Brilliant racecraft from me. And now we stay in front of Verstappen for a little bit longer, to the point now on lap 11 where we're going to come into the pits here, get off these medium tyres and go onto the set of the hards. And as I was trying to explain before Verstappen tried to attack us there, at the moment the race pace is not that bad, and that's a combination of a couple of things. Ultimately, I'm understanding the track more because I've now done 11 full racing laps. Obviously, teams and drivers are battling, so it's helping with regards to the gaps. But also, what's making a difference is the fact that I'm just learning the game again. I'm understanding how to drive the car, and I'm just, again, learning the braking points, learning my acceleration, my gear shifts and everything. And ultimately, I actually have some semi-decent pace around here, because I could literally be right at the back struggling to keep up just about with DRS here. But crucially, I'm not really. Lap 12 of the Grand Prix now, Verstappen is going to get close here with DRS, and he's actually close enough to go down the inside here in towards the chicane at the end of the strip, and he's done just that. But this is where it's going to be interesting, because I don't know if I show it or not, but we were in a race with Daniel Ricciardo. Ricciardo has stayed out a lap longer in this Grand Prix. So as we now catch Verstappen, there's Ricciardo coming out of the pits now. We're going to just mug Verstappen off around the outside into turn 1. But both myself and Max Verstappen have just undercut Daniel Ricciardo in the Las Vegas Grand Prix, and we're now up into 4th place now in this Grand Prix, thanks to that undercut that we have just done on the Renault drivers. So that's some great work there from the strategist to get me into the pits and get me out ahead of Ricciardo. But the crucial thing now is Ricciardo is right in range here with myself and Verstappen. I don't seem to be able to have the pace to catch up to the 2 Porsche drivers and Sam ahead. So right now, I'm in a 3-way scrap. It is going to be myself versus Verstappen versus Ricciardo for a best, oh, that was close there, best place of P4 at the moment. So you can see the rest of the cars there behind getting a little bit rowdy with each other. We're now in this fight. So let's see what we can do then. So, Verstappen overtook us. That's absolutely fair enough. We're going to come back at Max Verstappen now on lap 14. DRS-enabled Sam there just actually overtook them. Charles Leclerc with the DRS at the end of the strip. We're now going to do the same thing. Overtake Verstappen. Ricciardo's right behind there. There is the 3 of us now flying on through in this race. And Verstappen is, well, going to come back at us very shortly. He's going to have the slipstream here. So I need to be careful now going in towards turn 1. So we'll deploy some of the battery down the end of the straight. And we set a new personal best lap of 130.6. Not too bad. Obviously, DRS would have given us a massive boost on that front. But now as we make our way down in towards turn 2, a little bit wide through 2, and now onto the straight now towards turn 3. This is where DRS will be enabled for, so Verstappen will like this one because he can come at us now with the DRS. Ricciardo's also going to try and come at us with some DRS. I've misjudged my braking point, and that was a little bit close there to the back of Ricciardo, making contact with the back of my car now. But as we go down onto the strip here on lap 15, we're going to be close enough again to Verstappen to be in the detection point. Verstappen's light is blinking, so he's obviously having a little bit of issues with the ERS now as we make our way through with our DRS down the straight here to pass Verstappen, and that is another move done. Into the chicane we go, and we are through ahead of the Dutchman, and now we can just stay in front. We've got a yellow flag though up ahead. The yellow flag is going to be for the Ferrari of Sam. He's pulled over to the side of the track after a brilliant race from him. There go myself, Verstappen and Daniel Ricciardo, and all of a sudden the race has taken another transformation here because the battle between myself, Verstappen and Ricciardo is now going to be for a place on the podium with Reese leading. Charles Leclerc is second. Verstappen now goes to 3rd. Ricciardo overtakes me as well for 4th in this Grand Prix. I've lost 2 places in the span of 1 corner, but that is heartbreak for Sam. He's honestly had literally no luck at all this season, has Sam. It couldn't go any worse if it tried for him, and it's one to forget because he's honestly had such a great run this year and probably should be in championship contention after the disasters that he's had with Audi when he was with them, moved to Ferrari, things were on the rise, and now they're just falling down again. But unfortunately, that's the way things go in motorsport. Now, let's get back to the action here and the battle for P3. Ricciardo versus Verstappen versus myself. I've taken the opportunity here while Ricciardo and Verstappen are going absolutely at it in these stages to just keep myself behind, replenish the battery, calm myself down a little bit and get onto it because I was struggling a little bit at some braking points and just losing the rear end in some of the corners. So I decided to just sit back, settle down a little bit, and now I feel ready to go on the attack here. So we're going to go down the inside into the end of the chicane here on Daniel Ricciardo. Verstappen makes the move stick. We make the move on Ricciardo. We now need to close up to Verstappen because we've actually let him pull away a little bit thanks to the move that we just made there on Daniel Ricciardo as we now blast our way down on towards the start-finish straight and now back onto the Vegas strip again. We're now very close to the back of Max Verstappen. This will be a simple move for myself on Verstappen. So as you can see now, down in towards the chicane we go. Verstappen does actually try to outbrake me through there. A little bit cheeky from Verstappen, but we're all the wiser to it. And now we can keep pressing onwards in this Grand Prix and making our way down in towards the end of this lap. And now on board here with Verstappen now. He's actually close enough here on the strip to go for a run here on Daniel Ricciardo. Of course, Ricciardo actually overtook Verstappen. That did, and this is annoying now, that did actually give me a 1 second gap over Max Verstappen and Daniel Ricciardo. And that would have allowed me to get out of the battles. But with Verstappen overtaking Ricciardo so early on the strip, it meant that he basically had a full run of DRS with no issues whatsoever. That's Vettel overtaking Hamilton. In the background there, the McLarens, we've got Albon, we've got Perez, we've got Antonelli, we've got Piastri, and I think we've got Behrman in all the action here. So all these guys fighting away like crazy here for probably not even the tail ends of the points now at this stage. McLaren, of course, are having a horrible weekend for their standards. They're normally up in the points-paying positions, but this weekend, they're nowhere near it at the moment. As Antonelli now tries to go around the outside here of Sergio Perez. Now he's got the inside for turn 2, so can he make this one stick on Perez? Just about, so fair play to him. Onto lap 21 of the Grand Prix, though. Here comes Verstappen for a run at us now down the Las Vegas Strip. And this is going to be very difficult to defend. Almost too difficult to defend because Verstappen will have the DRS now. And he's already way in front of us. So, alright, fair play, Max. You've done me there. So we're just going to stick in the slipstream of Verstappen. He's going to go to the outside, though, interestingly. So I'm going to try and set him up on the exit, but I actually don't get it right at all. Back end sliding a little bit, and I just couldn't make it stick. So that was a little bit of a silly one now, as we blast our way now down the straight. And as you can see, closing up to Verstappen. Can we go for that run around the outside of turn 1? Ricciardo, though, is right behind us into turn 1. Not close enough to go for it on Verstappen. But crucially, if we can get turn 2 correct, we might just be in the ballpark here to have a run with the DRS. It's not too bad through the exit of turn 2. I probably could have done with a better run, but now we're closing up to Verstappen. Ricciardo's having a run on us here. Daniel's actually going to go for it in towards turn 2. It's in turn 3. It's a huge late braking move from Daniel Ricciardo. A brilliant one from him, in fact, and he now makes up the position on that run. But lap 23 of the Grand Prix, and now onto the strip we go. We've got pretty much full battery to deploy here. Ricciardo is going to be vulnerable down this straight. We're actually already getting close to him, but now he's going to deploy his battery, and he's actually really pressing now. We both can have DRS here to attack Verstappen. Now, with the DRS going to be open for the pair of us, can we overtake Verstappen and Ricciardo, or are we going to be stuck behind the both of them? Ricciardo goes for the inside, the outside on Verstappen. I'll take the inside on Max, and we're going to send it now into the chicane section on Verstappen. A back end sliding on the exit there onto the start-finish straight. 2 more laps to go now in this Grand Prix, and we need to find a way past Daniel Ricciardo, or we're not going to... Oh, that's a horrible exit onto the strip, but this is a chance here to get a podium in the Vegas Grand Prix after starting last, remember, in this race. There's nothing I can do to match the pace of Porsche, but Verstappen now has got a great run here on the strip, but we block off his exit now, and now we can have the outside line to ourselves here, and in towards the chicane we go. That's a crucial move there on Daniel Ricciardo into P3. Verstappen and Ricciardo are fighting like crazy on the exit, so now we've just got to push as hard as we possibly can here on the final lap of the Grand Prix, trying to pull out of the slipstream. I've got enough battery to work with it here. We've gone for it now. It's a purple middle sector from ourselves. In towards the chicane we go. One more time. It's a horrible run through the chicane. That's going to compromise us. Reese has just won the Vegas Grand Prix. Verstappen, though, despite our poor exit, won't have enough to get in front of us. We can use the battery to cross the start-finish line and finish in 3rd place in this Las Vegas Grand Prix. And you know what? I'm 100% taking that as a massive, massive achievement after the qualifying that we had to be in that position. I cannot fault it in the slightest, but fair play to Porsche because they absolutely crushed the competition here today. Reese started this race from pole position, and honestly, from the first lap onwards, he never ever looked back. Reese wins the Vegas Grand Prix. That's back-to-back wins now for Reese, and he's picking up momentum in this final stage of the season, which is critical for his championship challenge. Charles Leclerc crosses the line in P2 for Porsche. Potentially could have been a different scenario for Leclerc had Sam not retired from this race, but the key thing for Leclerc is that he did get the bonus point for the fastest lap. So he gets 19 points and Porsche get maximum points in this race weekend. For us, we finished this race in 3rd, and there's nothing more I could have done. I maximised that race to perfection. I made the overtake stick at the start of the Grand Prix, got myself into a position where I was nice and settled. The strategy from the team was absolutely spot on. We managed to obviously get that undercut on Daniel Ricciardo, and then obviously we just timed our overtakes to perfection against our competitors, and obviously in the end we were able to finish in 3rd. I'm 100% taking it. Max Verstappen finishes in 4th for Audi. He will be disappointed with that. Of course, he qualified on the front row of the grid and just dropped away in the early stages and didn't really come back into play. But I guess P4 is not too bad in all circumstances. Daniel Ricciardo, P5, he's been excellent, especially Renault really as a package have been really good on high-speed circuits, so it's a great race result, and crucially, when the car is fast, the team and the driver are maximising it, so that's an important piece. Lando Norris, P6 for Ferrari. It was a little bit of a quiet race for Lando Norris. Obviously, there's quite a bit of battling going on between himself and Carlos Sainz. He managed to break away from that, but he didn't quite have the pace to catch up to us three of Verstappen and Ricciardo in the end, so settles for a lonely P6. Sainz finishes in P7 for Audi. Great drive from Liam Lawson, that's P8, and crucially, more points for Jaguar for their Constructors' Championship, so they'll take that one, with Sebastian Vettel finishing in P9 and Lewis Hamilton down in P10 for Mercedes. Looking at the second half of the table now, and Alex Albon finishes in 11th for Jaguar, just outside the points, so he'll be disappointed with that, definitely I would have thought. George Russell finishes in 12th for McLaren. The best position that McLaren could get was P12, and that's a massive disappointment for the team. They definitely expected more from this weekend, and that's the second race in a row now that McLaren have failed to score any points at all, so that's really going to hurt them in the Constructors' Championship as well. Sergio Perez only P13 for Red Bull, so again he'll be disappointed with that one. Kimi Antonelli P14 for Mercedes, couldn't get into the points like Lewis Hamilton did. A tough race for them. Bottas 15th for McLaren, ahead of Oscar Piastri, who is 16th for Aston Martin. Oliver Behrman finishes in 17th, ahead of Van Dorn in P18 for the two BMW drivers, and then it was Pierre Gasly and Sam that were the two drivers that were unfortunate to DNF from this Vegas Grand Prix, and they will hope for more luck coming into the next round of this season. Let's see how this race though has taken effect on the Drivers' Championship. Starting things off then with myself, we are still top of the Drivers' Championship on 225 points, but with victory for Reese here today and with myself only finishing in P3, the gap at the top of the championship has been reduced to just 5 points. There are 2 races remaining, one race now in Kota and then the last race in Brazil, and it's going to be a straight fight between myself and my cousin Reese for the Drivers' Championship, with 225 points to my name and 220 to Reese's name. George Russell sits third in the championship on 151 points, while Sam, despite running in the midst of second and third throughout the course of the race, ended up DNFing, which meant that he would have moved to third in the championship, but stays fourth on 142 points. Charles Leclerc has moved in front of Carlos Sainz in the championship, up to 5th now with 138 points, while Carlos Sainz is 6th in the championship on 129, with Lando Norris sitting P7 for Ferrari with 120 points. All of these drivers, from Russell down to Norris, are only separated by 31 points with 2 races to go, meaning that any of these drivers could end up finishing in that 3rd position in the championship. Max Verstappen has moved up to 8th with 99 points now to his name, while Sebastian Vettel and Valtteri Bottas are tied on 92 points apiece in the championship. Let's see how that has affected the Constructors' Championship, and for Porsche, it is dream day for them. The 1-2 finish from Porsche does mean that they have wrapped up their first ever Constructors' Championship for Formula 1 with 358 points to their name. Nobody now in the final 2 races can overtake them. As for Aston Martin, they are second in the championship on 260 points, but the gap between Aston Martin and McLaren in 5th in the championship is only 17 points, meaning that it is still very, very likely that things will change between the 4 constructors in the final 2 races, and they already have. Ferrari and Audi have moved up each a place in the championship. Ferrari are now 3rd with 250 points, but Audi are 4th. They also have 250 points, while McLaren have dropped down 2 places in the championship. They're on 243 points, but in the next 2 races, expect those positions to change even more. Red Bull sits 6th in the championship on 116 points, but they can't be too comfortable either, as Mercedes are 7th in the championship on 110 points, with only 6 separating them. Renault are 8th in the championship with a nice bag of points, putting them up to 35 points now for the season, while Jaguar sits on 18 points. As for BMW, It's getting harder and harder now for that team to get some points, but in their final 2 races, hopefully they can do what they can to try and get onto the board. But let's try and have a look now at the post-race notebook and see what the teams and drivers had to say after this race. Taking a look at the post-race notebook, and Porsche have won the Constructors' Championship title after their 1-2 victory in Vegas, and it was more sweeter that Charles Leclerc got the fastest lap as well to allow maximum points here in Vegas. Reese has also made it back-to-back race victories for himself. Meanwhile, title contender Tom recovered to finish on the podium in P3 despite starting plumb last in P20. Porsche celebrating history for the team as they have won their first Constructors title in Formula 1. It's been a long time coming with some bumpy roads for the team, but at the start of last season, it was the beginning of something special with upgrades coming to the car, which really started to kickstart its form. And of course, from this season, they've managed to start on form from the beginning, taking that along with 2 incredible drivers of Reese and Charles Leclerc, and together they have come across the line to become champions. Now, Reese has realised that despite his back-to-back victories, he knows that his form right now is only going to make Tom come back faster and more dangerous than before. Reese is now only 5 points behind Tom in the Drivers' Championship. With the Constructors out the way, it's now time to be selfish and let the drivers do the talking. As for Tom, he knows that he now needs to push not only even harder to win the title, but way beyond what the limits of the car are capable of doing. Tom has admitted that Aston Martin simply do not have the package versus what Porsche have got, and if he's going to do anything about winning the title that he's been holding on to for the past many races now in this season, he is going to have to work as hard as possible and even go beyond what the car can do in order to try and succeed. Well, can he do that? Well, next time around, the teams will be heading to COTA for the United States Grand Prix. Let's see if Aston Martin have got any answer to Porsche, or whether the form that Porsche are on is simply unstoppable. Hope you guys have enjoyed today's video. If you have, drop in a like, subscribe if you're new around here as well, and I'll catch you next time. Take care all, peace.